On today's show, it is part 2 with myself and Tyler Jones with 2 months until the bright lights come on for the regular season, and we'll get into a lot of fun topics if it's coming up right now.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1787 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Thursday evening into Friday. And today's podcast is brought to you by the folks at FanDuel Sportsbook. And now through September 22nd, all customers at FanDuel can bet $5 to get 3 weeks of a free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. The place to go to learn more about this is FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Also, want to encourage you at the top of the podcast to make us your first listen each and every day here at Locked On Hawks. Please check out the podcast and subscribe on Apple, on Spotify, on Overcast, also on YouTube on the video side. Like this episode as you're watching it, etc. And we're back with part 2 of 2 with myself and Tyler Jones. Tyler's a friend of the podcast, always popular when he comes on the show. And part 1 is available for you right now. So if you missed part 1, I recommend starting with that conversation. It is just easier and probably better for the listener to go from start to finish on this one. So part 1 is available for you right now. Part 2 is coming up at this very moment. And here we go with part 2. The reason I brought that up was like Quinn's going to have some challenges, and we don't have to do the whole rotation thing. We can, though, if you want, about like pairings, making sure you have enough guys who can shoot it on the court, because while we like Dyson is a thoroughly unproven shooter at this point. Veet showed great strides last year as a shooter, but it's really the only time he's ever made shots. So we don't know. That's 2 guys that you like their defense. They're going to need their defense, but the shooting is so. Jalen is still he had a pretty decent shooting season last year, but it came down. He started out hot. It cooled off, and I think he landed in the mid-30s. It was fine, but what is he as a shooter? We don't know. And then the center spot, where it's all theoretical with Okongwu still as a shooter. I know he takes an occasional corner 3, but he's not getting guarded. Capel's a non-shooter, as we know. So that's a lot of questions about shooting, and making sure that either Trey or Bogey's on the court at all times is pretty obvious to me, I feel like. But beyond that, let's just say, for example, Trey makes a lot of things easier for a lot of people.
Yep.
But let's say Trey is on the court and Bogey isn't. You got to have somebody there on the wing, ideally, that can help him as a shooter. And especially, look, they might not start Bogey. It might be Dyson. That's very possible that they start Trey and Dyson in the backcourt together. Is it going to be Hunter as the 3 still? I don't know. Is it going to be Big Rich? Maybe.
The only, and I brought this up on ATL 29, and also the Ethos podcast. Check those guys out.
Definitely.
The only issue is that if Hunter's at the 3, who's at the 4? Because if it's Jalen,
Jalen's throwing at the 4. We all know that.
Exactly.
So
but I'm saying, if you're going to get Hunter at the 3, you probably don't want Jalen at the 4 as well, because now you got 2 at functionally 2 guys teams will leave open. It doesn't matter if they make or miss. They will leave them open.
I wasn't sure I was going to say this. You know what? I'm going to do it right here with you. I'm going to do it right now with you. If they decide they're going to start DeAndre Hunter, they have to start Okongwu.
Have to, yeah.
But that's me saying that. I'm just saying that everybody knows how I feel about Clint. If they're going to start Hunter, they need to start Okongwu.
And also, I think they already had. They might not have had to do that, but I think they have to do that if Dyson is starting as well. If it's Bogey and Trey in the backcourt, it's easier. It's easier to not do that. And what I don't want to make too much of, because Okongwu's versatility on offense is overstated to this point. He's got obviously more ball skills than Clint. That's not up for debate. But he's not been a shooter. He doesn't, as we'll get into right now, because I know you want to talk about this. He hasn't been this aggressive offensive force. There have been moments, but the gap between Clint and Onyeka offensively gets overstated by Hawks fans regularly. I do think Okongwu is obviously more skilled. We all know about Clint's foibles as a finisher. I get it. But Clint's been a better player. because the defense has been better, but the offense is not tilted that far. Hopefully this is the year that it does. Hopefully this is the year where Okongwu is just like, you know what? I'm putting you, old man. You're going to be behind me now. They get along well, by the way. Those guys are friends. But it's just interesting to me. It's not like an epiphany, but I do think that if they don't start Bogey, and I just don't know if they're going to, the one way to balance that out is to not have Clown on the court to begin the game.
But the thing is with Okongwu, like the theory of Okongwu was that he was supposed to be John Collins on offense.
Yeah.
But a good defender at the center position on defense.
And that has not happened on offense.
Held up his end of the bargain on the offensive end too often. He's just out there. And I'm like, bro, you have elite touch with both hands. Can you look to score? And that's why I'm like, Onyeka, the starting position would be Onyeka Okongwu's. Years ago, if he comes out to games, every time he touches the ball, he's looking at the basket to score, putting pressure on the rim, trying to, generate offense for his teammates because he has ball skills. He's got a great Euro step. He's got
a funny stat for you.
Hands. It's what are we doing with you? Like they're not passing you the ball to just like not do anything with it. Go score the ball, increase your usage. Because right now, his usage every year of his career has been below 20. That is unacceptable for the skills that he has and the talent that he has as a basketball player. He has to bring it on the offensive end. Defense is a separate concern that we're not worried about because if he's in the right role with the right support, he'll be good defensively. He's shown to be a good rim protector when he's in position. Last season, the scheme was just all wonky. But the bigger issue is the offensive end, where he's just too passive and he's not like looking to generate. Like he's got to look to score the ball. Like he's got to look to do 18 alley-oops. He's got to play with reckless abandon. Like I understand he's got the injury concerns. He's got he had the shoulder thing. He's had the toe last year, but like to me, I'm like, hey, bro, it's go time because if you look to score, that makes life easier for everybody else on the team because now you got to be accounted for. Centers can't help off you. You're creating open catch and shoot 3 points for guys like DeAndre Hunter, who again, if he's open, he's money. And so, like, if we can get rim pressure from you, Okongwu, we might be on to something. And, like, he flashes it. The Rockets game sticks out where he was just constantly getting behind Sengun the entire second half. And it's like there are 1,000 – there's so many Senguns you've gone up against in your career, but you don't look to do that all the time. Like, he did it with Lou. For whatever reason – he did it with Lou Williams his rookie year, and then he just like it's like I'm not doing that no more. I'm like, bro, come on, like.
Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. You've heard me many times talk about FanDuel in the past, and FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Well, this time around, though, something's a little bit different for you from the folks at FanDuel. And now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll also be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. When you get there, by the way, you will also know that FanDuel Sportsbook and the app there is really easy to use. They have everything that you need to look for, from over-unders to point spreads to money lines, player props, future bets, and much more at FanDuel. The app is safe. It's secure. They cover the entire range of sports as well. NBA stuff, WNBA stuff, NFL's coming up soon, of course, college football, MLB, golf, tennis, soccer, auto racing, boxing, MMA, and so much more. And now is the best time possible. Sign up with folks at the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and the place to go is FanDuel.com to get started. Also, one more time, just visit FanDuel.com right now. Check out America's #1 sportsbook. It's true. And to continue this, like, it's not apples to apples, but there is no reason that Capella should have higher usage and should be scoring more points per 36 minutes. This is a per minute stat, right? Obviously, Capella's played more than Okongwu, and I'm not a big points per game guy. Everybody knows this. But Capella has outscored Okongwu comfortably on a per minute basis. That shouldn't happen. Now, part of that is the offensive rebounding that Clint does, and that's a part of his appeal. But there should be no world in which that's true. And the usage part is that Okongwu has been, I don't want to use passive, but sometimes it is passive. Sometimes it is like
there are too many games where it's like Okongwu's just out there. He's not looking to put his imprint on the game. He's not looking. Whereas let's talk about it. Jalen last season, when he was trying to prove himself in this league, came out there with raw aggression. Like, he didn't have everything he needs in the half court. It didn't matter because he was attacking the rim in transition. He was always up for an alley-oop with Trae Young. He's always like trying to generate offense, trying to generate rim pressure for his team using his size and his skill. But Okongwu, it's like, well, I'm here. I'll set the screen, and he sets great screens. I mean, to his credit,
he does
great screens. But it's like, I'm running the offense. I'm part of the machine. But it's like, look to score, man. Like,
we agree, and I think that
beyond just taking open catch and shoot corner threes, I don't care about those. Like, whatever.
I don't either. I think it's good that he does it, but I think it's overstated in terms of its value for people. It's different if he becomes a guy like, you used the Collins comp earlier. When Collins pre-finger injury was like shooting 5 per game from 3, that mattered. Like, he had to be guarded in a way. Like, right now, teams are never going to care about Collins taking a corner 3 until he makes a bunch of them and shoots them faster and all those things. But it's not about that. It's about the versatility. So, and that's why it's not like Okongwu was going to open up space as a 3-point spacer for lineups. It's about the fact that he can actually, do some DHO stuff. Like, he can have the ball in his hands. He can create. He can punish mismatches in a way that Clint can't. That kind of stuff. But he's got to do it. And people get frustrated with me, and I think you too, on some level, about like just saying that Clint's been better. And that, I know that's controversial. We don't have to do the whole thing again. But part of the reason I say that is because Okongwu hasn't done what we hope, including me, and projected he would do. I did a mailbag recently, or within the last couple of weeks, and I just said flat out, like, somebody asked me like about previous draft picks, and I said, look, I liked the pick more than most did when it happened. It was the best player available pick. It was a little bit strange. Everybody acknowledged that. They just traded for Clint. It was a bit odd. But part of the reason why nothing's changed is that he hasn't made them change it. He hasn't been good enough. I think he's been good. He's a good player. He's already a good player. The contract's good, in my opinion. But if you asked me 4 years ago if Okongwu would be the same, worse, or better than he is right now, I would have said better. Which means,
Brad, to me, I said this all those years ago. I was like, he has the talent to be the best player in this draft class. Now, that has not proven to be the case because, Tyrese Halliburton's been a lot better, Edwards and LaMelo Ball. But, like, I felt like I still feel like just flat out, if you're the player that you've been in your career, like in your totality of your basketball career, is a guy who averaged, he said himself, he averaged 35 in high school. At USC, he was like an 16 plus point per game scorer, playing the 4 for USC because USC didn't have no spacing, but he was still getting after it. For whatever reason, I do feel like something with I do think the shoulder changed the way he wants to play.
Yeah,
I do think that's the case because I've had the same surgery he has. It does change the way you want to, the ways in which you want to be physical. But at the same time, like, he's got to find a better balance because right now it just hasn't been good enough on the offensive end, particularly with his scoring. If he ups the scoring and the usage, we're talking about a guy who has the talent to be a 2010 player. You do that now, that helps everybody on the team. That helps Jalen. That helps DeAndre. That helps.
It helps everybody because he's more versatile. And the crazy thing is, and we'll move on to other things, but like I know that a talking point that I constantly hear is that Okongwu hasn't been given the opportunity because Clint's still on the team. And I get why that's said. I'm not saying that's totally wrong because Capella is a good player that plays the same position. But last year, Okongwu averaged 25.5 minutes per game. That isn't full-blown starter minutes, but that's a lot of minutes. It's not like he's been playing 12 minutes a game for the last 4 years. That hasn't happened. If you want to go beyond last year and go 2 years ago where he had his most complete season because he actually stayed healthy, last 2 seasons combined, he's averaged 24.1 minutes per game. That is more than a backup center plays. He's basically in a, let's just say like the Knicks have had this role in previous years where like you basically have co-centers like you don't have a guy. The Hawks, yes, Capella's played more than Okongwu, but it's not like it's been 32-16 every night. It's like 27-21 every night. And Okongwu's had plenty of chances. Is it, if you want to argue it's different if Clint's off the team, I'll listen to that argument. I do think it would have been interesting, and we'll never know, to see what would have happened if they had moved Clint a year ago. And obviously, I'm the chief Clint appreciator. I would have been interested in that. I'm not saying it would have helped the Hawks. I don't know if it would have helped the Hawks. We would have learned more about Okongwu, I think, probably. But he's played a lot of minutes. I know he's got hurt a lot, but where's his total minutes? Yeah, he's played in his career almost 5,000 NBA minutes, and that does not even include the playoffs. That's a lot of minutes to be like, he hasn't had the opportunity. Like, I don't really buy that anymore. I'm sorry.
I want to actually talk about the opportunity, because the basketball player who didn't get an opportunity was Jalen Johnson 2 years ago.
That definitely is true.
He literally did not play.
He didn't play. Right. Exactly. He didn't play. Okongwu's been playing every game that he's been healthy since he was drafted.
But this is the thing. When Quinn Snyder took over, he was like, Jalen, we need you. You got the talent. He took the opportunities. He forced the Hawks to be like, okay, we can trade John Collins and we're comfortable because we got somebody like Jalen Johnson. Like, Jalen only played like 18 minutes a game that when he was playing next to Quinn, but he was so good. The Hawks were like, all right, we got to give this kid more opportunities. So, John, thank you for your service. And then to enter the season, he was coming off the bench for Saddiq Bey. And like that happened for one game.
I called it. I said it was going to happen. I was right.
You were correct. I gotta take the L on that, because I was like, "There's no way the Hawks are going to do that."
I think you were right. I think you were right about the effectiveness. I was just trying to say it was what was going to happen in practice. But anyway, it didn't last. To your point, it lasted. Was it actually one game?
Yeah, I think it was like a week of games.
It might have been a week. Yeah,
it wasn't. But it was like, all right, enough. Like, clearly,
correct.
Jalen, we're just bleeding points when Jalen's not in the game. But defensive, but he took it from Saddiq Bey. And Saddiq was good the year before. I mean, he took it. Honestly, Jalen took everybody's. He took Saddiq's and he took DeAndre's spots in the Hawks like vision of the future. It was like,
well, and they are, and we can say this probably for a little bit later when the extension talks really ramp up in like September usually, but Jalen is Jalen might be getting a 9-figure contract pretty soon. We don't know if that's going to happen. But the Hawks like Jalen a lot, to the point where they'd like to give him a lot of money. In a way, they have not given other guys that much money when they don't have to. So he's part of the fabric. But you're right. To bring it full circle, we can move on to I want to ask you about guard stuff in a second. Jalen forced it. Okongwu hasn't. I really hope Okongwu forces it this year. I know you've been talking about this on Twitter and other places about like training camp even. Like,
he goes into training camp. He's like, I'm trying to put it on everybody's head. This spot is his. This is year 5. It might be time. And to his, I just said how much he's played. Devil's advocate, he is still 23 years old. He's a young player. Yeah. He's a young player. He can still get better. I'm not saying he can't get better. I think he probably will get better still. I got asked, and I don't want to give it all away because I did this interview already with Josh Lloyd, who I know you listen to, the Locked On Fantasy Basketball host. And he asked me for like the guy who's like having a make or break season. And I said Onyeka, and on the team. And obviously they're different. He wasn't my only answer. And I don't say that as like Brake's going to be like out of the league. Like, I think he's an established player already. But as far as like what he's going to be moving forward, this is a big year for Onyeka. I stand firm on that. It's all there. It's truly all there for him. Like, there is no other than I said this on everywhere else other than Trey and Bogey. There is no clear third guy. Fully understanding that everybody think it's going to be Jalen Johnson. We're projecting that, but he hasn't proven that yet. And if I'm Okongwu, I'm like, hold up. I can be better. Like, I'm at this, especially at the center position, where it's like I can roll hard to the rim all the time and make these layups. Like, this is what I do. Like, alley-oop dunks, like get behind the defense, shoot when I'm open, like no hesitation, like drive the offense, like be the DHO hub. Like, he's got all the talent. He just has to commit and like honestly, he just got to play harder. Like, I don't like on the offensive. I'm not. It's weird to say that about a guy who defensively plays hard. Like, I don't have issues with him on defense for the most part.
Yeah,
but it's like offensively, it's like he's just out there sometimes. Like, go look to score. Like, go look to dominate, man. Like, you have the talent. Like, there aren't that many centers in the league that can hang with you physically. Go attack them.
Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. And when you're thinking about your absolute non-negotiables for self-care, what do you think about? Maybe you'd actually never miss yours. That'd be awesome, of course. When your schedule is packed with projects or travel, it can be hard to make time for yourself on occasion. And when you feel like you have no time for yourself, those non-negotiables like therapy become more important than ever. Therapy is helpful for everyone. It can also help you focus on what you want instead of what others happen to have. That starts to help you live your best possible life. You can learn positive coping skills, how to set better boundaries. I know I have my own stuff that I deal with, stress-wise, etc. We can also benefit from getting things off of our chest. And if you're thinking about starting therapy at all, give BetterHelp a try right now. It's entirely online. It's designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule at BetterHelp, which is huge if you're navigating a time crunch like I often happen to be with my schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can also switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with the folks at BetterHelp. And the place to go is betterhelp.com/lockedonnba to get 10% off your first month with BetterHelp. One more time, the place to visit is BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. I do want to get to the backcourt a little bit because it's something you talked about a lot on ATL 29 too. This whole battle is probably not even the right word, but you know what I mean? Like this jockeying for playing time and role and all this stuff between guys like Dyson, who I think is going to play for sure, but Dyson, V, Kobe.
Yeah.
Big Rich is kind of in this, but he's more on the wing side. It's just the other three are more like on ball battling for like who gets on ball reps more so. Both when Trey is, especially when Trey's on the bench, but even when Trey's on the court, they do need another guy who can do something. And maybe it's Jalen. I mean, we keep saying that. Maybe it's Jalen. I always hear people say, what about Jalen? I'm not discounting Jalen. It's that's not the role he's been in so far in his career. He's kind of been a play finisher more than a on ball. And he's got the ball skills. He can definitely do it. But I just did this capsule with Glenn, 2 parts on Kobe this week. And mixed reviews, of course, as you might expect. And even Glenn, who's always been a Kobe guy, is like, I don't know about this like backup point guard thing for Kobe. And I don't know either. I think that he is the most natural guy on the roster to play the position other than Trey. But whether he's ready or not, I truly don't know either. So what do you think about this whole thing? Like if it's opening night right now, we don't have information yet. Obviously, we don't have camp information. We don't have preseason information. It's impossible to answer this in August. But like, you think he's going to play early in the year, or is it going to be Dyson? Dyson/Veet. And really, and by the way, we said this before, but really that means Bogey as kind of the backup point guard, but with somebody with Bogey to play defense.
Normally it's going to be Bogey, but like, it's tough because the issue with Kobe is currently he just has to shoot it. And like, because his skills of getting to the rim and finishing at the rim have not popped at the NBA level. Like they just haven't. Like he doesn't, even in the G League, like I'm watching the games, it's a lot of mid-range shot attempts because he can't get all the way to the rim and he can't finish through contact. So I don't know. But it's also tough because ultimately he's played so little in his career due to injuries. That's another factor. So like Kobe's kind of an open box special. Like I don't know if you're getting the theoretical player you got from Michigan, and he's developed positively in a way, and like he's making his catch and shoot threes, he's driving hard to the rim, getting to the foul line, all that good stuff. Like absolutely could be him, and he's going to have. Like to me, it's going to be an open competition between these guys all season between Kobe, Veet, and Dyson. Who's going to be that backup point guard, like ultimately, because I think to me right now, outside looking in, Dyson got the most experience out of the other two guys, like at the NBA level, like just definitely. Flat out A, and B, he's probably just better. Like,
well, and also we know this, just to say it out loud for people listening. I have confidence Dyson's going to play no matter what because of his defense. Like even when he's playing with Trey, it doesn't have the same responsibility offensively. He's going to be the guy that they turn to more regularly than Veet and Kobe anyway.
And the difference between Dyson and those other two is that he's a great finisher around the rim. And like, he's also the issue with Dyson offensively is, to me, less about the shooting, more about the aggression. When he plays,
he's pretty passive. He's pretty passive.
When he plays with aggression, gets downhill and like looks to drive, looks to score, he looks good. He's always looked.
He was 55% on twos last year. Like he did a good job in year two. Year one, it was a little bit more dicey, but last year I've watched more and more film on him too, and I'm with you. Like I think the inside the arc game offensively was better than people remember it being last year. Like he actually was pretty good as a finisher.
And so it's like to me, primary one of the Hawks development, it's really just to get Dyson to be aggressive offensively. Be like, and that doesn't necessarily mean just get a bunch of shots at himself, but it's like, okay, I'm bringing the ball up the floor. I'm going to drive into the lane, and then we're going to kick out to a shooter, or I'm going to look to score if I got a smaller guy on me. Because that's what he was doing a lot. He did a lot of that in the Olympics, where if he found an advantage, he took it. And that's a good baseline for him, and that's going to really help the Hawks if he's playing next to Trae Young, because he's probably not going to be guarded by a good defender if he's playing next to Trae. So it's like, if he's punishing that and he's forcing teams to adjust, that's a boom. But that's only part of it. He can't hesitate on his catch and shoots, which he that's going to drive Quinn up the wall. He does that. He's got to just shoot it, like make or miss. You got to shoot it. You have to shoot it. Trust the process, offensively, because if you don't do that, you've killed the flow of the offense when you don't do that. So it's like those are his big bugaboos, but like if they can clean that up, like he's somebody who might be who might be able to play 30 plus minutes a night, start every game, be that secondary playmaker for Trae when he's on the ball, when he's out of the game, help set the table for Bogey while also playing great defense throughout. And that's a really good player. And he's also really young. So like, that's why I'm super optimistic that Dyson's going to have a breakout season, like sneaky. He's got most improved player of the year potential. I think Okongwu also has that but I think Okongwu is more, it's all mental. It's mental with both of them. They have the physical talent and the skill to like really showcase themselves in this league, but it's more like they gotta turn on a switch so that they understand that, hey, basketball is about basketball. It's okay to be selfish, fully understanding it's okay to want to score the ball. It's okay to take a bad, you don't want to take a bad shot all the time, but like DeJounte Murray became a much better basketball player when he was like, I'm going to get mine and then figure out the rest later. And like, he wasn't a perfect player for the Hawks, but that's not because of him. Like he turned himself into a good player. He went from a guy who was like a passive dude like Dyson was to a 20 plus point per game scorer. And that's what, they don't need to completely go that way, but if you could just get a little bit of that aggression into both of their games, like I think that could really help. So that's why I'm like, Dyson is the top guy. Veet, I feel like I know what Veet's giving me. Like he's just a great secondary playmaker. Like I don't necessarily think he's a guard per se, but
that's the area where Veet actually is projectable. Like, yeah, I talked about it with Glenn a lot on that show we did about Veet, but the stuff I don't know about Veet is whether the shooting is going to continue, because we just don't know. It was a small sample. It went in this year, which is good, and the defense was a 1 year thing. I think it's going to be good. I don't know that it won't be. It just it wasn't there before, so it's like until I see it more, I don't fully trust it. I think I trust it, but the passing is what he's always been able to do. The playmaking, ball handling for a guy his size has always been like his prospect appeal with Veet, was like he can do all this stuff with the ball.
And he was very good at just driving, kicking out the shooters.
Drive and kick is what he loves to do.
To get to an open shooter for an open three-pointer. Like that's all you. That's what the Hawks need. They need more of that. So like, that's where Kobe. I just don't know because I haven't seen it. Like I really don't even know what type of player they're trying to turn Kobe into because it felt like G League, like he was kind of left-handed DeJounte Murray. Like, not to say that's not good, but
they were also playing that way. Like they also were playing this interesting style where like he was really the only guy who could score a lot of times. So it was like they're asking him, but they're developing him in an interesting way. I'm with you on that. Like I still think his best role is going to be like combo guard.
Yeah.
But they wanted to play point guard to develop that skill set. And I think you said this recently. He didn't do it at Michigan. Like he did it at the very end of his second season at Michigan, but he was mostly the 2 guard on that team. And they've tried to, and this happened a lot. Like sometimes it's like intentionally for development. A prime example of that is what the Bulls did with Zach LaVine. Remember that? Where they had him play point guard, and like everyone knew he couldn't play point guard, but they just did it. Was that the Wolves or the Bulls? Somebody did that. And anyway, when he was young.
Yeah.
And it was like he can't do this, but it's good for his development kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Kobe's not that. He could do more of it. But I just don't know if they are going to trust him to run pick and roll and like just be the guy that initiating the offense. But they don't have anybody else. I mean, I know they tried to sign Tyus Jones, but like they don't have anybody else. They just
Kobe would really benefit from everybody would benefit from a Hartenstein, like a DHO hub who you give the ball to and can make decisions and set hard screens. Because that's what he did at Michigan. He was gives it to the center. Name I'm forgetting. I know you know.
Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah, they give it to Hunter Dickinson, and then Hunter would Kobe would flow off of that offensively. And that really helped his game. It's why he was so good finishing at the rim. Like, so I just think as a self-creator, I don't know if it's there, but like if he can, like that's where it's like, okay, if he plays more with Okongwu and Okongwu brings it offensively, or even a Larry Nance could also really help him as well.
It could.
Somebody who we haven't talked about enough about Larry Nance because I don't know what the Hawks are doing with Larry Nance.
I wish I knew. I don't love to admit that I don't know, but I don't because when that happened, it wasn't official for a long time. He doesn't have to report. There was no like intro presser for Larry Nance. Like they haven't done that stuff. Quinn hasn't talked on the record all summer, to my knowledge. I don't. Maybe he did an interview on TV during Summer League that I missed.
No, he didn't.
But I don't believe Quinn's talked on the record to anyone since.
May? And so we don't know. Yeah, like since exiting.
So anyway, like, and because of course Nance has been playing mostly center, not only center, but mostly center the last couple of years. They have Capella and Okongwu. They're back at 4 minutes, but I don't. Those might be Hunter. That's a different conversation that we can have another time too. But yeah, Nance is too good to not be talked about. Like I've been trying to be like, hey guys, Larry Nance is good because he is, but it's just a weird situation, and that led to I think all of us when that deal happened were like, surely they can't keep Nance, Capella, and Okongwu on the team. And it's been 2 months. Just
full stop. Like until it's opening day and Larry Nance is on the roster. Yeah. I don't believe he's on the team. Like
it's fair. It's fair because like it doesn't make sense.
I mean, we're talking about backup point. Like I'm like trading Nance for a backup point guard just makes sense. And so
trading Nance for literally any position. That's the thing. Even if I think I agree with you about another guard would make sense, but trading Nance for like anything but a center, would make more sense than having Larry Nance. And again, Larry Nance is good. And he's appropriately paid. It's a totally fine contract. It's expiring. He would help any team. He'll at some point this year, if he's on the team, he's going to help the Hawks because Clint will be out for a week or Con will get hurt again, and he will definitely help them. I just don't know what the plan is, and we'll probably find out in October.
Yeah, but to get back with Kobe, that's kind of what he needs. Like he needs more of a facilitator from that position. That's not something the Hawks have or have had. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. But like, yeah, I mean, it's ultimately there's a lot of minutes available for a lot of guys. Like Sadiq Bey's not here anymore. DeJounte Murray's not here anymore. And so there are minutes to be filled. And the question is, who are they going to fill it? How are they going to fill it? Like what the Hawks are going to want to do. I'm pretty sure Quinn wants more shooting at the backup 4 position than what they're going to get. I'm pretty sure Quinn wants more shooting in general on the team. But
and that might lead them to playing Hunter at the backup 4. We'll see how that goes. Hunter and Clint have always worked together against all odds. Feels like they probably shouldn't, but the numbers have been okay with those guys playing together. Maybe that's the way you get Risache more playing time, is to not play Nance or not play and have Hunter be the backup 3 and backup 4, and it's more Risache. There are options here, and
they have options, and that's a good thing. Like that's a good thing, because that's not something the Hawks have had. Like,
that brings it full circle. So I'm gonna let you go in a minute, but like that brings it full circle where we started this when you're talking about how deep they are, and they are. Like even guys like we mentioned before, but Garrison Matthews probably isn't going to play opening night. Garrison Matthews was pretty good last year. He's a real shooter. He was a very useful piece for them. Don Barlow might be in the G League a lot. Don Barlow is one of the best 2-ways in the league, and he may not play because there's nowhere to put him right now. But he's young, developmental guy, great stuff. Guys I like on the bench. I mean, there's guys I like on the bench that like we don't talk about really much at all. Seth Lundy, I still believe in. I just don't know what's going to happen.
Seth Lundy is an interesting. Like I know we haven't talked about him, but he had a great G. Like
he was good in the G League.
Like it wasn't not good. He was great in the G League, and like he's somebody who, if he didn't get hurt, I feel like he would have been in the rotation last year. But he had just a bundle of injuries. So like if he's healthy, maybe he's the one to step up to get some minutes. There are minutes to be had. And I just feel like, to me, Quinn, he's going to have to be more flexible with the rotation just because he has more options. And I think he's just going to have to, like, this night
to night. I mean, David Roddy, just to say another name out loud, David Roddy, like, could be helpful on certain nights. Yep. He's not as good as some of these guys overall, but he has a skill set that's different. Like, I think I mentioned this with Glenn even on the show. I can't remember if it's online or offline, but if they don't have DeAndre Hunter, if Hunter's knee flares up, they're going to need David Roddy because he's like the only kind of guy that's like defensively kind of like what Hunter's been. Like Hunter is the Luka stopper, is what I've said before. Like it's a joke, but it's not. Like he does a really good job. For whatever reason, he's greater than Luka.
I mean, Dyson can do that too.
Well, I know he can, but Dyson also might be the point of attack guy on the guards. You know what I mean? In certain matchups.
Dyson will be guarding whoever has the ball the most in there.
That's correct. Dyson will be the number one. Dyson's number one. We agree on that. I think Dyson might, if the Hawks do enough as a team, because you know how this works. If the team numbers are not there, you don't get individual numbers defensively. It's just the way it is. If the Hawks take a leap defensively, Dyson will get some attention that he should be getting already defensively. He will
be getting attention regardless, just because he's going to play. But like, for award purposes, I agree with you. Like,
yeah, you need team success. I mean, same thing as Bogey last year, not winning sixth man when he was obviously the best sixth man in the league. It wasn't even close. But the Hawks didn't win games, so he didn't win. Okay, well, Tyler, we could do this all night. We shouldn't. I can promise you, I will not wait this long to ask you to come back on the podcast. Mea culpa. This is what my actual start. We started with apologies that I'm not going to make to Tony Wrestler or Arthur Blank. I do apologize to you. It's been too long since we talked. Anything to plug? I know you got anime. If not, you got ATL 29. So share. The floor is yours before we sign off.
So yeah, you can. We're on ATL 29 where we try to stay on the topic, and then like
there's three of you though. There's no way you're gonna stay on the topic. No chance.
Glenn or Kevin says something. I'm like, hold on, let's dig deep into that. And we don't have as much time as we have here. So
you guys try to go shorter, and there's three of you. Like there's no way. It is what it is.
It's tough, but we do the best we can on ATL and 29. So that's where you can find me. Jonesy2x4 on X. We still call it Twitter, but the corporate sponsors probably prefer X. So,
I usually go Twitter/X so people know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, you can find me at Jonesy2x4. I'm on a locked account, so just hit I'll probably hit follow unless you're a bot, and then I won't. But that's where you can find me. Anime. So I'm pretty sure I way I don't know if I said this, but like, so Nier Automata is like one of my favorite video games of all time.
Sure.
Absolutely incredible. I don't want to spoil too much. However, the anime is also incredible. It's I don't know, man. It's just so good. Like I love stories like this. So Nier Automata gets like my highest praise. Like if you know nothing about Nier, go ahead and give the first couple episodes a watch, and then play the video game, and then watch the rest of what's going on in the anime. Like that's if you want the complete experience,
it is.
Go ahead and do that for yourself, because it's an incredible experience, and like I'm so happy that the anime is this good. Also, Spice and Wolf, gotta watch that. It's a classic. They got a new series where it's more faithful to the light novel. Incredible. I mean, but it's one of the greatest light novels of all time. Great anime back in the day. You can watch the anime too. That the old anime still holds up, but the new one's really good as well. So those are my recs for now. There are other shows, but like you can follow me on Twitter. I'll give you recs. I just in general, if you're new, I watch it all: anime, video games. Oh, Jujutsu Kaisen is ending. The manga breaks my heart, but it's been an incredible ride. It's probably the greatest manga, shonen battle manga I've ever read, like higher than Hunter x Hunter. I have to give it to him. I have to give it to Gege Akutami. So, like, if you love the anime, I am imploring you, either stay off social media because you will be spoiled, or read the manga on Viz or Shonen Jump. Like, it's only $2 a month, and you get the entire catalog of chapters. So go ahead and do that, and spoil yourself, because it's an incredible ride.
There you go. The recs are there. I don't know what half of that meant, but I will.
I had to go long, but I had to go.
No, it's fine.
It's literally been like a whole season of anime.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
Since you've let me on the podcast,
I purposely give you the time.
Guys, I had the goal to be like, hey, Michael Penix is probably a good draft pick because Kirk Cousins only.
All right. While we're here, I didn't dislike Michael Penix as a draft pick. My issue was doing the Cousins contract and then drafting the quarterback. I had no issue with Michael Penix. Michael Penix rules. I think the man can sling the rock. It is what it is.
You get the better player in the present, and then you get the better player in the future in one draft. It's very much an NBA decision to do that.
It was Capella and Okongwu, is what you're saying. You're getting the old guy and the replacement in one offseason. Okay, that was I tried to tie it back to the Hawks. Thank you, sir, for being here. People should be listening to ATL 29. I genuinely listen to every episode. I often will text them or message them or yell at them through my phone, but it's a great show. People should listen to that show. As for everybody else, listen to this podcast. Follow Tyler if he lets you on Twitter/X. He may not let you, but you can try to follow him. He might say yes. Subscribe, rate, review. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you all next time.